Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a quick hit podcast to get you ready for the day. Today is Wednesday, August 1st in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the Pirates, didn't go so well in Houston. They were not able to sweep the Astros at Minute Maid Park. Tough one with some errors. There was a fight out at Steelers camp. Might get into that, probably not. It happens. Actually going to talk a decent amount about Pitt football. Was there at Pitt Media Day, talking to Pat Narduzzi and Kade Bell and a whole bunch of others for what the Panthers have going on this year. So I want to share some thoughts and some impressions about that. Before we do any of those things, though, I want to remind you that we're sponsored by the North Shore Tavern. You don't have to be a baseball fan to love it there. The interior is wall-to-wall Pirates. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern across from PNC Park is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. So we'll be talking Pitt football, Penn State football, maybe some Westminster football. Maybe I can subject all of you to that. I know you would be honored if I did such a thing, but I was there, so I thought, why not? Let's talk a little bit about this and what the Panthers are looking at. I'm probably higher on what Pitt has going on right now than most people. I do think they have a situation that might be conducive to, winning 6, 7, 8 games. I don't think they're going to have a losing season. I'm not sure I'd predict them to have 10 wins at this point, but I like the quarterback situation. Nate Yarnell right now is the number one guy. If that doesn't work out, Eli Holstein, the transfer from Alabama, I like what I'm seeing there. They do have a couple good running backs that they should be able to run the ball, but probably the biggest takeaway I have from being over at Pitt today is Kade Bell's offense and how they want to do things. And also hearing him talk about the speed and why they play with speed and what goes into playing with speed. One of those things is actually related to video games, as odd as that sounds. That's going to be a Sunday column talking about how he plays Madden and NCAA football and implores his players to do stuff. And it actually makes sense. But as far as the offense, this was the first time I was in a room with Kade Bell and hearing him talk about this and how they sort of go about that process. And it starts in spring, finding out what quarterbacks like, tailoring the offense to that. And then around this time, really honing in on, those specific concepts, those specific plays, wanting to go. He said the goal is to score average 50 points a game, to basically run a play every 10 seconds. And that does a few things Bell was talking about. One, it obviously tires out the opposing defense. Two, sometimes they're misaligned. And it allows you to basically dictate tempo, be in a position of strength and, get defenses out of their comfort zone. We'll see if they're able to do that. But you've got basically 5 starters returning along the offensive line. Wide receiver, I think they've got some pretty decent guys out there. Konate Mumfield, Kenny Johnson, Dejon Reynolds, etc. Gavin Bartholomew, talked to him today. He's talking about doing some things all over the formation, being used in a number of ways. More of that, please. If I look at Pitt, I look at the defense too, and who's going to be able to step up. They were hit hard by graduation, transfer portal stuff along the defensive line. Cornerback, such an important part of their defense. What's going to happen there? Are guys going to be able to step up? They're going to be very deep in the safety position, but will cornerbacks be able to step up? Ryland Gandy is one guy who's coming back, but there's a lot of competition for some of those other spots. And I think that's going to sort of dictate things with Pitt. If they're able to force the tempo, if they're able to put pressure on the opposing team, that's really going to be big for them. So we'll see. I don't know. I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. I thought it was a pretty good message preached by Pat Narduzzi and players, and a lot of it saying, prove it. No matter what we say, the 3-9 season from last year, it's not going to go away. We have to sort of live that in our habits. And I was asking guys how much they talked about that this offseason, and to a man, we talked about it a lot. It was a motivating factor. I don't know how it couldn't have been, frankly. I have a column about all of this, by the way, but it's basically saying that Pittsburgh as a city is so much better when Pitt is winning and there's intrigue there. Even if it's friendly back and forth, WVU, Penn State, everybody's got a horse in the race. Great. I mean, nobody's having fun when you're 3-9. And I think if the Panthers went 3-9 again, there'd be a serious void of fun. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll be curious to see how much things come together, but certainly some optimistic stuff there. All right, going to take a short break with our usual sponsored message, and we'll come back on the other side and talk a little bit of Pirates and some stuff going on that side.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
And welcome back to First 10. And thank you, of course, as always, to the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau for their sponsorship. But Pirates-wise, if you want to get upset about the Pirates' loss in Houston, I don't blame you. O'Neill Cruz, I don't have a good explanation. What he was doing running into left field and the ball hit the Brian Reynolds, I have no idea. I don't even know. Is it worth drilling down into that or some of his at-bats? Hope he's healthy after what happened in the ninth. But I'm willing to write it off. If I would have told you at the beginning of this thing that the Pirates were going to take 2 of 3 from the Astros, I think you absolutely would have signed up for it. Brian De La Cruz makes his Pirates debut, gets a couple of hits. That's important. I think you're going to see Isaiah Kiner-Falefa back before long. Maybe a sneaky important storyline from this one, honestly, is that Jake Woodford looked pretty good. And you're probably saying, who? Jake who? But Jake Woodford sort of toiling in anonymity, brought out of nowhere, might have an opportunity actually to join this rotation and give them something. I don't know if they're going to need a lot from him, but if you're going to go with 6 starters again and trading away Quinn Priester, trading away Martin Perez, no issue with either move. I think the Pirates did the right thing there, but you're going to need somebody to come up and reliably give them some innings, and Jake Woodford did that. And honestly, you take 2 of 3, day off, probably going to be good for O'Neill Cruz, rest your bullpen. And then you've got 3 big ones this weekend against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the Pirates unveiled their starting rotation. Paul Skenes will go on Sunday, and very, very eager to see that. I want to talk a little bit about a column I have actually involving Paul Skenes and Connor Griffin. I was over at PNC Park. Connor Griffin is their first-round pick. Of course, they signed him, or I unveiled him, introduced him, whatever you want to call it. But these things are always pretty cool. The first round pick is there with parents and agent and people from the organization and all this stuff. So we were talking to them, and I was thinking about this. This was probably my 4th of these, I want to say. My first one was Quinn Priester. Nick Gonzalez, I believe, was virtual because it was 2020. Tamar Johnson, Henry Davis, and then Skenes. I really like this pick. The more I see it, the more I get to know Connor Griffin, the more I see. It's a very, very mature kid. Dynamic arm. That's one of his best tools. I believe that if memory serves, like 4 tools with a 60 rating or better or something like that on Scout's 20 to 80 scale. The only question is a little bit of his bat to ball stuff. I'm sorry. The rest of the total package, as well as the makeup, is so good. Excellent runner. And again, part of what I wrote about in my column is just his makeup and believing in that. And that's a lot of what you do in the Major League Baseball draft. Nobody's drafting for position of need, but you're drafting tools, you're drafting makeup, you're drafting projectability. And there's a lot there to like with Connor Griffin. And there's an interesting link that I found out about today with Paul Skenes. And the story goes, this was, I think it would have had to have been last year during Skenes' year at LSU. They did like a player panel. Skenes was talking on it. Connor Griffin, who, mind you, was an LSU commit, came into Baton Rouge for that and listened to Skenes talk and has always been kind of infatuated by Skenes and was like in awe of him. And didn't really get to talk to him one-on-one. I think probably just in a group setting. Not sure Skenes even knew who he was at that time. But anyway, so the Pirates select Connor Griffin. Skenes somehow knows about Connor Griffin, gets his number, texts him, and it like blows away Connor Griffin that he said, "Oh my gosh, Paul Skenes is texting me. This is crazy." But so in the column, I sort of compare the makeup of the two. I see a lot of similarities in how these guys carry themselves, and it's neat to see that in Griffin, how quickly he may rise through the minor league system. It's also neat to see in Paul, who, since coming up here, it's just become such a, the attention is one thing. Everybody wants a piece of Paul Skenes, right? Like he's talking to Reggie Jackson, Kenny Chesney, Randy Johnson. It's crazy, but he's just handling himself so impeccably well as a leader in the leadership department, reaching out to people, being everything you could possibly want a draft pick to be. So anyway, make sure you see that. I am headed out to Steelers today. Hopefully there are no more fights, but some interesting video on social media there. I guess you will have that. But yeah, we'll be looking for more football related things out at St. Vincent College later today. I will talk to you with more Steelers heavy video tomorrow, I would imagine. Make sure you like and subscribe in the meantime. You can get this video and plenty from our other Post-Gazette columnists and writers. And yeah, talk to you from later. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.